Hello, this is the Radio Geek. I'm here to tell you about my little building project here. It was a AM radio kit. It's a TECSUN 2P3 is the model number. And well, let me just start off by telling you a little bit about the kit. It's an AM radio kit that you put together. It comes with a circuit board and parts to mount on the circuit board. Everything is through-hole component construction, so you don't need any real special equipment or anything like that. Some odd things about the kit were the instructions. It's got a lot of drawings and pictures and information. It's got a PCB layout and where things go. It's got a bill of material here with all the parts and where they go. It's got a schematic, which is nice. Tells you shows you what the radio should look like when it's done here, and a little introductory section there about the kit. And on the flip side, there's some other information as well. But there are no step-by-step instructions like put R1 in, and then R2 and C15 and so forth. So basically, you just all the information is kind of here, but it's not in any real order. Here's the bill of material. So what I did was I just went down the bill of material list and assembled them in that order. If you see over here, there it says packet and then a number 1. Each bag has a number on it, and then these components are supposed to be within that bag. And so I just put the components of 1 bag in there, then 2, and then so forth. I did have 2 missing components. I had here, let's see, in bag 2 I had an R13 and 14, which were 10K resistors, were not in the bag or anywhere else in the kit. Fortunately, I had some 10K resistors in my junk box of components, so I was able to complete the kit. But there were some missing parts as well. Another thing is you have to break off a section of circuit board. It's a little like nub on the circuit board, and you have to solder it to the main board, and that section is actually this potentiometer here for the volume control and on-off. That you have to actually merge 2 boards together. Let me flip this over here and to show you that section. Here is the circuit board, and you have to basically break that off, and then down further here you have to solder everything from one circuit board to the other. And it's important to do these little end tabs as well, because that is what gives the circuit power from the battery through the switch on the potentiometer over to the other side to the rest of the circuit. So it's not just these 3 in the middle. There's a little chunk on the end of the circuit board that you need to solder as well. Also, when you take the circuit board apart, when you break that off, there'll be some little nubs from where it's perforated. You need to cut those completely off flush, so that when you assemble it later on in the case, that the little nubs don't rub on the wheel of the volume control. Found that out the hard way. Also, you may need to trim the edge a little bit on the circuit, the end with the soldering points, so that it fits in the groove of the other circuit board so you can solder it together. There's a little bit of filing and cutting and gnawing to get it all to fit together. Which brings me to another point, was when you do put the whole completed circuit into the case, it is like a Chinese puzzle, and mechanically the way it assembles together is not very good. It does go together, but it's you have to contort and twist and move things in and out just at the right times and the right sequences to get it all to go together. So it's a bit of a pain to put it into the case. Needless to say, once you get it assembled and working, you definitely won't want to be taking it apart, that's for sure. Let me see. You also, in the process of doing all this, let's flip it back over here. Once you get it all together and you're done building it and you go to try it out, it won't work. It will not function. And you start measuring some voltages and things aren't right on these transistor voltages are not correct. The voltages are wrong, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And what it is you have to go to the section here that's called the radio calibration. Now, I wouldn't think you'd go to the radio calibration section until you hear something out of the radio, and then you'd say, okay, now I need to calibrate it. But no, you need to read in here that there are some current measurements that you make, and the current measurements are correct. There's no need to change any of these values of resistors, which they say in here. And then it tells you that you need to solder those openings closed. And they are very small gaps in the circuit board. Very small gaps. If you look at this drawing up here, you can see them where these test points are, where they want you to measure those currents. That little gap there needs to be soldered, bridged. There's another one here, and let's see, another one down here. So I think there's 3 total that you have to do. And if you look very carefully on the schematic, you can see that these measurement points are marked here as well. There's one that says B, and then we got one over here is A, and then there's another one over here which is C. Those little X's are actually opens, and you need to solder bridge those together, or the radio will not function. So that's another gotcha, I guess. Also, the speaker on this needs to be assembled in the case, and the wires fed through and then soldered to the circuit board because of the way it gets mounted. So you need to do that first. So overall, I'd say it's an attractive little radio. It's nice looking. I like the colors. It's really got that retro look of the 60s, or maybe even the 50s. It just has one screw in the back which holds the back of the case on. And it just has a simple volume control here, on-off volume control, and the tuning up in here, and then the numbers are up in this this window here. So all in all, I guess it's a nice radio. It's doesn't sound bad. It was very difficult with the alignment process of getting the numbers to somewhat correspond with the channels you were on. I played with that for quite some time and got the best I could, but basically it's really crammed in there. There's not much space between the numbers. Like, I think it goes from, this is 11, and then you just barely turn it over here, and then you can see the next number is 8. So 9 and 10 are in that little tiny space there, so it's really cramped, and then it goes from 11 to 16 here, so they're all kind of smashed in there, so it's kind of hard to get the dial calibration to be good. So like I said, I did play with that for quite a bit, and I got it the best I could. All in all, I guess I'd say if you're an experienced kit builder, you can no doubt build this. I got to say though, I didn't really enjoy the build. There was just too many odd things and too many things you had to search out, and it just wasn't as fun as some of the other ones. I think they really need to work on their documentation. Although this looks like it's nice documentation, when you get down to it, it's just kind of information kind of thrown out on a back in front of a piece of paper, and there's no real order to things. I think a real manual with conventional check boxes and installing components and stuff like that, and this having to go to the calibration section to discover that you were supposed to make some solder bridges is just ridiculous, really. I would say only this kit for somebody that really wants one. The radio isn't too bad, the sound quality is okay, but I gotta say, if you're thinking about getting this for a beginner or somebody to learn how to solder or something like that, I'd say just forget it. This is not something you want to spring on somebody that's just getting started. So I'm going to pause the camera here for a minute, and I'll take the back off, and I'll show you that, and then we'll do a quick band scan. Okay, so this is the inside of the TECSUN AM radio kit, the 2P3. I'll just kind of get in here a little bit tighter. You can see it's got a dual core ferry bar antenna, and you can mess with that a little bit to some degree to get stations to come in a little bit clearer and louder. It's just kind of sandwiched in there in like a little plastic holder, and then a wire tie holds it in place. It runs on 2 AA batteries. The audio section is over in this area here. It's just a one-chip audio design there with some caps. The volume control on-off switch is here, and this is that circuit board here that you have to snap off of this area here and solder it in this position on the other circuit board, and then it has to fit through the slot here at the same time as this earphone jack goes off to the side and fits into that hole and goes through the speaker area too as well. So it's kind of tough on the alignment getting it in here and together, but it does fit, and it is fairly attractive little radio. Like I say, it's the only other thing it has is the earphone jack, which actually does come out of both ears on a pair of earbuds. Obviously it's mono, but it's out of both ears. That's really the only other thing there is. There's just the volume control and the tuning of the radio, and there's a little decal thing, a little plastic thing you put on here, and it's got 2 different designs depending on which way you flip it. I just chose one, and I don't have any idea what that means. It's obviously some Chinese writing of some kind with the ray of the sun or something there. Not sure what that means. And just the volume control there and your indicator. Here, I'll give you a better look at the distance between the numbers. There's 11 and there's 8. I mean, there's just not much room between there, so they're just really packed tight together on these frequencies. Now we'll do a little quick band scan. I did some checking with it last night. It was at night, and it picked up some pretty good stations, some moderate DX stations, Cincinnati and Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm here in Michigan, so it did pretty good. Chicago stations, things like that. So not too terribly bad on the receive end, but we'll give it a spin here and let you guys listen to it here.
It's about beer, the nourishing nectar of a civilized society. Promised.
Doesn't diminish my respect for George Will. I will continue to read him avidly, and in fact, he's done a course for Prager University.
Once again, along with head coach Brian Kelly, here's Jack Nolan. I was a White Sox
Very touchy on getting something tuned in.
Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing during the decline in the U.S. economy, the Internal Revenue Service is now accepting reduced
to evaluate that we normally wouldn't get a chance. So that's how valuable, playing in a bowl game is. We wouldn't get any of these opportunities to evaluate players until spring.
And the reason the left flies into hysteric rage over it is because it's true.
Only God can do that. Humans make withdrawals. At the same time, there are people who only withdraw.
And said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." He cried out to Christ and said, "Lord Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." He expressed his faith.
One of the great things, Rich, that I learned about Jim, which I could read everything I needed to and talk to lots of people.
But some offensive linemen did a nice job for us. Alex Barr is going to be a really good player for us.
In Palatine, Illinois. CPT, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom, and I wish you a very happy 2015.
Thank you. You too.
Agencies. Many companies claim to be there when you need them. At Black Diamond, being here for you 24 hours a day is the foundation of our business. We're proud to be...
So anyway, it doesn't sound too bad, and it does pick up a fair amount of stations, so I guess all in all, the assembly of the kit was a success. However, it was, I would say, a bit on the frustrating side with their documentation and how they chose to word things and the whole assembly process. I think that definitely needs some more work. But if you're looking for a little radio kit to build and you know what these limitations are, and after watching this video you certainly know what to look out for, and probably go a little bit smoother for you if you know these things ahead of time. But anyway, this is the TECSUN 2P3 AM radio kit. It's available on eBay for about $25. If you can also find it on Amazon. However, it's sold by Cato Electronics, and they are charging a lot more for it. I think it's like $35. This radio is not worth $35. This radio is not worth $25. I would say this kit should be priced at about $15, to be honest with you. But it is a nice looking radio, and it was quite the experience putting it together. So until next time, guys, see you later. This is the Radio Geek.